Hey everyone, welcome to our virtual class in Social Studies, grade 7A and 7B students. Your teacher here, Miss Michelle Joy. This video will serve as a makeup recap class, especially for the students who were not able to join us in our virtual learning. We proceed with our online topic. I would like us to have a short recap or review of the last topics that we have discussed, which is about the 8 Noble Paths. What are the 8 Noble Paths? Let's read them one by one. The first one is right view, means know the truth. The second one, right intentions, means free your mind of evil. The third one, right speech, say nothing that hurts others. Next, right action, work for the good of others. The next one, right livelihood, respect life. Next, right effort means to resist evil. Next, right concentration means to practice meditation. And the last one, right mindfulness, control your thoughts. Class, so let us continue. Let us read the objectives of our lesson for today. The first one, students must be able to know Thai society. Next, students must be able to know what democracy is. And the last one, students must be able to know the principles of democracy. And we are going to study these 3 objectives of the lesson using our books and, of course, our PowerPoint slides. Class, before we proceed with our online discussion, let us read first the topics that we have for today. Letter A, Thai society and democracy. Letter B, principles of democracy. And let's read the words to learn that can help us to understand our topic better. Please repeat after me so you can still practice your reading skills and speaking skills even if you're just at home. Let's start reading now. Number 1, society. Number 2, democracy. Number 3, principles. Number 4, government. And number 5, power. Now, class, let us discuss these words one by one. What is society? Society means association, community, company, league, fellowship, club, guild, union, companionship, and organization. So basically, class, society means community of people that has shared beliefs, customs, and traditions. The second word is democracy. What do you mean by the word democracy? It means republic, freedom, commonwealth, self-government, representative government, majority rule, autonomy, emancipation, equality. So class, let us take freedom, republic, and equality as the meaning of democracy. So this is one of the types of government being practiced by many countries in the world. Next word is principles. What do you mean by principle? It means rule, precept, law, doctrine, axiom, fundamental, tenet, basis, integrity, and canon. So principle class means rules, law that we have to follow and obey. Government. Government means administration, control management, rule, direction, authority, power, command, regime, and governance. Government is the highest form of constitution in a country. They control the country. They run the country for the betterment, of course, of the nation and the citizens. The last one, we have power. When we say power, it means strength, authority, energy, influence, command, control, capacity, might, ability, and sway. If you have the power, it means you have the authority to command. So these are the 5 words that can help us better understand our topics for today.
The word democracy comes from the Greek words of demos, which means people, and kratos, which means power or rule. So democracy basically means the rule of the people. Democracy first started as a direct democracy in Greek cities, notably ancient Athens, where people came together to speak about their concerns and opinions in front of rulers of the city-state and directly voted on new rules and laws. Here is considered as the birthplace of democracy, For the very first time, decisions were made by the people instead of rulers. But sadly, the ancient Greeks did not see all people equally. Slaves, women, children, and the people who did not have a land weren't allowed to vote. This is what we call a flawed democracy today. After the Greeks lost their power and influence in the 1st century AD, their early forms of democracy were also fading away until the Magna Carta was signed in 1215, which prevented the King of England to do whatever he wanted and said that even the king had to follow the country's rules and laws which were written in the Constitution. Today, most democracies are indirect or representative, which means that you can't vote for a new law yourself, but you can vote for people who then become lawmakers and present your interests. But democracy isn't just about voting. It's about everything to protect the best interests of the people, no matter what is their race, gender, political opinion, or religion. These interests can be human rights, quality of life, infrastructure, and many more. Modern democracies divide power into 3 different branches: the legislative, the people who make the law; the executive, the people who make sure that you obey the law; and the judiciary, who judge you if you commit a crime. These 3 are independent and work following the process, checks and balances, which means all the work must be clear and fair. And very important, the people who have power also must follow the law and not exceed their authority. In addition, a democratic government must work in a way that reflects the wish, feeling, desire, and values of the society that it governs. This is also known as the general will, which is a concept developed by the famous Swiss philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau. One of the problems of democratic voting is that the biggest groups of people always have the most power, and that's why a good democracy also has laws to protect the rights of its smaller and weaker groups. A democracy where the majority chooses to separate, expel, or injure its minority is not a functioning democracy. So, what do you think now about democracy? Winston Churchill once said, "Democracy is the worst form of government except for all those other forms that have been tried from time to time." Do you agree?
Class, let us discuss about Thai society and democracy. What is constitutional monarchy? Constitutional monarchy. Since 1932 AD, Thailand has been a constitutional monarchy. This is where the king is head of state and the government is democratically elected. So since 1932 class, Thailand has been a constitutional monarchy because before this year, it is absolute monarchy, meaning only one ruler of the country. There was no prime minister before, but after 1932 up to now, we have the king and the prime minister. That's why it's called constitutional monarchy. And the government is democratically elected, voted, and chosen by the people. Let's read about Abraham Lincoln. Democracy is a system that believes in people's freedom, equality, and mutual respect. Abraham Lincoln, former American president, short definition of democratic government as government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Because this type of government is very particular with the people's freedom, equality, and their rights as a human being. Let us read the meaning or definition of democracy. Democracy is a system which allows all people to participate in the democratic process while living in freedom under the law. Living in a democratic society, Thais are expected to understand and be aware of their democratic responsibilities. Even if Thailand is considered as constitutional monarchy, they still practice democracy, which is the freedom of the people. But even if they have the freedom, it doesn't mean that Thai people can do whatever they want. No, they still have to obey the law. And if they did something that disobeyed the law, they must be punished. Class, Let us discuss about the 4 principles of democracy. So number 1, people's sovereignty is the supreme power, because I told you democracy is a government for the people by the people. Number 2, the king or the president is the head of the state and the prime minister is the head of the government. In this country, king is the head of the state. This is King Rama X in here. Next, number 3, human rights and freedom are protected by the Constitution or by the law. That's why it is very important for a country to have a law to follow so that people will live in peace and harmony. Number 4, the governance is made under laws. Now, class, let us discuss the 3 types of sovereign power. The first one is legislative power is issued by the parliament to make laws. They are the people who works in the government to make laws. Number 2, administrative power is issued by cabinet to take care of the country. So these are the government people that takes care for the protection of the citizens of the country. Number 3, judicial power is used by the courts to maintain justice. They make sure that justice is being served. Now, Constitution. The Constitution is the most powerful law used to govern the country. It is a guideline of any discipline such as the style of governmental, use of sovereignty, and the rights and responsibilities of Thai citizens. All laws issued must be complied with under the Constitution. No one is above the law. So it means, class, that Constitution is higher than any man in the world. Even if you are the king or the richest man in the world, you are not above the law. If you did something wrong, you have to be punished. And you will be punished because that is what the law says. So class, let us summarize all the topics that we have discussed. So we have discussed about democracy, the 4 principles of the democracy, and the 3 types of sovereign power. So first, democracy. Abraham Lincoln said that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. Principles of democracy. People's right or people's sovereignty is the supreme power. Next, the king or the president is the head of the state and the prime minister is the head of the government. Human rights and freedom are protected by the Constitution or law. The governance is made under the law. Now, class, it's time for me to give you an activity, and that activity is online activity, which is word wall application. Just click the link that I posted in Google Classroom under the folder activity. Click the link and run and answer right away. And after you answer, just screenshot your score and upload it in Social Studies album in your line group. Good luck! So class, we now come to the end of our online learning discussion. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or ideas that you want to share, please feel free to send me a message in our Google Classroom or in my personal line account. Stay safe, everyone. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.